2012, and after a record-breaking season, Charlton Athletics celebrate their promotion back to the Championship after 3 seasons away. But in contrast to the previous summer, when Chris Powell signed an incredible 18 players, the close season of 2012 was a relatively quiet one on the transfer front. 6 players joined the club before the end of August, the highest profile of which was the capture of Jamaica international striker Ricardo Fuller, following his release by Stoke City. Other new arrivals included Laurie Wilson and goalkeeper David Button, signed for undisclosed fees from Stevenage and Tottenham respectively. Free agents Jordan Cook and Salim Kirkar, formerly of Sunderland and Rangers, were joined by Dorian DeVete, who'd been released by Villarreal. Over the next 90 minutes, you'll be able to enjoy the roller coaster ride that was the 2012-2013 season, as the Addicts surpassed all expectations to secure a hugely impressive 9th place finish on their return to the second tier of English football, missing out on the playoffs by just 3 points. So sit back and enjoy. The season started somewhat unusually with a first-round cup tie against Leyton Orient. Scott Wagstaff, who'd opened the scoring when the two clubs met at the Valley in the league back in April, did the same here to give Charlton a first-half lead. However, the O's would go in level at the break. Mathieu Baudry's header made it 1-1. And both sides had chances to win it. The best opportunity fell to former Charlton man David Mooney, but with the pressure on, he was unable to convert. The tie went to a penalty shootout, and following misses from Johnny Jackson, and debutant Laurie Wilson, up stepped Ryan Brunt to put the O's into round 2. The Addicts' first league game in the second tier in 4 seasons took them to a Birmingham City side that had just finished 4th. And after creating the better chances, it was Charlton who went ahead late on. Leon Court finding the ideal moment to score his first goal for the club. But not for the first time this season. Birmingham would break the Addicts' hearts just before the final whistle. Nikola Zigic striking deep into injury time and earning the Blues a point they scarcely deserved. But the Addicts would go one better as Leicester City made the trip to the Valley 3 days later. Bradley Wright Phillips' 18th minute strike opened the scoring. And the home side would go in at the break 2-up, thanks to former Leicester striker Jan Kermagant. His costly penalty miss in the playoffs for the Foxes in 2010 had seemingly not been forgotten by the travelling fans, who booed the French forward throughout the entire 90 minutes. Kermagant had the last laugh though. Despite Andy King's second half goal, the French striker was pleased to silence the boo boys.
We play against a team who should have been normally in a push for the automatic promotion. So it was very important to start well at home, and to score was of course a good feeling for me, but it was more to win against Leicester. First game at home was a good start for us.
A half-time thunderstorm provided most of the drama 4 days later, although the main talking point was this disallowed goal from Jan Kermagant, who was onside when firing home here. Chances were at a premium in the monsoon conditions, and in the end the Addicts were indebted to keeper Ben Hamer for preserving their first clean sheet of the season. 3 league games gone then, and Charlton still unbeaten and sitting quite comfortably in 9th. Blackpool were the only side to boast a 100% record, but things were about to get a whole lot tougher. September started with a trip to the City Ground to face big spending Nottingham Forest. Commentary comes from Nigel Adderley.
Reed. Neatly done by Cox. And McGugan. Cox again. And now Reed. Guardiola! So unlucky. That would have been a brilliant goal. And it was crisp passing all along the ground. And Guardiola manufactured the opportunity superbly well. Hamer beaten. McGugan all the way through. And it wouldn't be Lewis McGugan if the goal wasn't special. And in the sort of form he is in, he may have been going for goal there. Hamer won't be happy with his role in it. Fired in with pace and power. Reed. Blackstock has not seen too much of the ball since half-time, but he was strong and composed there. Hutchinson! And a dash of Premier League quality has surely won the game for Forest. He started the move. Blackstock was strong. And just look at that run forward into the penalty area, not tracked. And what a tidy finish that was. And the man on loan from Chelsea ensures he's become a real favourite here at the City Ground. Kermagol. Solly on the overlap. Oh, and Fuller, that crosses the line. And Charlton are back in the game. And there is the impact from Ricardo Fuller. And just as Forest were contemplating 3 points, fine play on the overlap from Solly. Fuller not picked up, and that's an own goal in the end for Charlton. But if we look at this again, the ball comes back off the post, and the inside leg of Camp diverts the ball in, and that will go down as an own goal. Fuller. Lovely play from him. Gurkar, the shot blocked, appeals for handball. And the referee now involved as Jackson is fouled by Guardiola. And Forest here extremely rattled.
Oh, chance on here, and Roy Phillips passes for Charlton. Offside though, and his joy quickly cut short.
Yeah, the flank did seem to go pretty quickly, but that's the first moment he's had to get a little space. He's got a smile on his face still, and they're not dealing with this ball that's attacked. There's the header. Dear me, I tell you, the man on the floor, is he playing him on? I'll tell you what, that's really close. The man on the floor for me is the one to watch. There's the ball, everything's all right there. There's the flick, they win it again. And look at the man on the floor. That's onside for me. I think the assistant's just watching players who are standing up. I don't think he's seen him lying down. It's a great finish.
Delaney got up. Will it break? Kindly it will! And Digashui strikes! Crystal Palace have the lead!
Stunning, simply stunning finish. Brilliant technique. That is absolutely brilliant. That would grace the top flight, would grace any football match. Delaney wins the ball here. Look at this. Chest control. Cushions it down and volleys it in the roof of the net. Unstoppable. But look at this for ability. Cushions it, kills the ball dead, gets his body over the top of it and just smashes it into that top corner. Absolutely brilliant. Not a chance to stop that. Great header down there. Cushions it. Has the ability, self-belief to do that.
Green. Wilson. It's beyond court, it's Ricardo Fuller, where's it going to drop? Oh, Speroni and Jelinek will get it away. And Palace living right on the edge there.
Fantastic defending at the depth there. Look at this, what a touch that is. There, the rebound, takes it onto the bar, and that's awareness, that's concentration for you. That's not switching off. Tremendous defending.
And Hamer, the keeper's come up here, and there he is! Well, right in the thick of it. What drama we've got here right at the end of the valley.
This is fantastic, it really is. Look at him here, what a head. Comes off his shoulder, and again, excellent defending. Stayed on his post, had he gone the other post, free. Would have gone in. There's the bicycle kick. Dear me.
Just remember getting my head on it and thinking I could have got a better head on it because it hit my head on my shoulder, and all I can remember is it going towards the top corner and thinking it's in. But then obviously the guy who's in the holes managed to get back in because there wasn't quite enough pace on the header, and he's cleared it off a line. And I just remember I'd almost gone like, oh no, I've missed. But then the next thing, the ball's above my head again. So I've instinctively tried the overhead kick, which was a pretty shocking effort, I must admit.
After back-to-back defeats, things weren't about to get any better at Pride Park. Jamie Ward fired the Rams ahead after just 7 minutes. 2 goals shortly after half-time effectively ended this contest. Craig Bryson turned in a cross from Will Hughes to double Derby's lead. The home side were then awarded a penalty following Danny Green's challenge on Ward. Ward himself stepped up to seemingly put Derby out of sight. But they hadn't reckoned on a late Charlton rally. Danny Green's stunning strike was too much for the Derby defence, and sadly the cameraman. And when Jan Kermorgant made it 3-2 just a couple of minutes later, the match was suddenly in a balance. Ultimately, though, Derby scraped home as the visitors' stirring fight back failed to result in any points. Three straight defeats, Charlton needed to bounce back, and bounce back they did at Portman Road, picking up a first away win of the season in the process. After a goalless first half, it was skipper Johnny Jackson who steered the Addicks ahead. And it was soon 2-0. Ricardo Fuller, making a first start for Charlton, showed great determination in winning the ball off Massimo Luongo before drilling home to give the Addicks some breathing space. The home side quickly halved their deficit somewhat fortuitously as Jason Scotland's deflected shot left Ben Hamer with no chance, but it proved to be no more than a consolation as the pressure mounted on the Ipswich boss Paul Jewell. September concluded with the visit of Blackburn Rovers, who had sensationally parted company with manager Steve Keane less than 24 hours before this game. Caretaker boss Eric Black saw Dixon Atuhu find the visitors into an early lead. But from that moment on, it was the Addicks who dominated, and a foul on Leon Court resulted in a penalty for Charlton. But Johnny Jackson was unable to get the better of Paul Robinson from the spot, and Rovers clung on to their lead. But almost immediately it was 1-1. The skipper atoned for his penalty miss by diverting Danny Holland's shot into the net, and the home side were deservedly level. The Addicts created chance after chance either side of the interval. Danny Green couldn't have come any closer to sending the home side into the break 2-1 up. But ultimately they had to settle for a draw after dominating a team who just a few months earlier had been 2 divisions above them. This game finished 1-1. With 8 games gone, Charlton were just above the relegation zone, but showing signs of getting to grips with the Championship. But as we headed into October, the inconsistent start was set to continue. The visit of Watford saw the Addicts go down to their second home defeat in the league. Tommy Hoban put the visitors ahead after half an hour. But the home side swiftly drew level. Dale Stevens' defence-splitting pass, enabling Ricardo Fuller to claim his second goal in 3 games. And soon afterwards, it seemed like the Addicts would be on their way to victory. In first half stoppage time, Fernando Forestieri's theatrical tumble in the area resulted in a second yellow card for the striker. The Hornets would have to play the entire second half, a man down. Despite the numerical disadvantage and playing almost the entire second period on the back foot, it was the visitors who stole the win thanks to Alman Abdi's stunning free kick. Undeterred by that setback, Charlton travelled to Bloomfield Road next and took the game to the Seasiders from the off. Ricardo Fuller was a constant thorn in Blackpool's side. Charlton eventually made their pressure tell. Leon Cord heading home his second goal of the season shortly after half-time. And with 17 minutes remaining, the win was sealed, and sealed in style. Chris Solly's stunning strike was only his second goal for the club in 85 appearances, and it would take some beating as the goal of the season. The hugely popular fullback was almost lost for words.
I won't be hitting too many like that, but yeah, it was just a one-off. It set up nicely, so I just thought I had to hit it. And playing left back, it's easier to come inside on my right foot and have a shot, so fortunately it went into the top corner.
The football for a fiver promotion was back for Barnsley's visit a fortnight later, and over 26,000 fans packed out the Valley, but the vast majority would go home disappointed. It was the Tykes who went ahead midway through the second half. Danny Green was caught in possession, and Tomasz Szyfka put the visitors ahead from the tightest of angles. The Addicts desperately tried to salvage something from the game, but ultimately it was to be a frustrating afternoon as the home side went down to a 1-0 defeat. A tough midweek trip to Leeds was next on Charlton's agenda, and Chris Powell gave a first start to Dorian De Veit, who would make an immediate impression. But it was Leeds who went ahead in a low-key first half thanks to David Norris. Charlton almost went in level at the break following this corner, but they would make it 1-1 soon after the restart. And it was that man De Veit who grabbed the leveller, firing home through a forest of bodies and leaving keeper Paddy Kenny unsighted. These sides had drawn 3 of their previous 4 meetings at Ellen Road, and this match ended level once more, although Bradley Wright-Phillips came desperately close to winning it for Charlton late on. Four days later, and Charlton were on the road again, this time at Molineux, and for the 3rd game running, the Addicts went a goal down. Bakary Sakho stylishly finished this fine move for his 5th goal of the season. But the visitors then had a major let-off at the start of the second half. Kevin Doyle got the final touch here, but the goal was disallowed as he was in an offside position. That proved to be the game's turning point, as within a minute the visitors were level. Rob Hulse, who joined the club on loan from QPR, saw his bundled effort hit the post, and Laurie Wilson scrambled home his first goal for the club. Hulse possibly could and should have won it for the Addicts late on, but he directed this header wide as Charlton were forced to settle for another 1-1 draw. After 13 games, Charlton were precariously placed just above the relegation zone, but things were about to get a whole lot better as we moved into November, even if the month did start badly. Middlesbrough arrived at the Valley with 5 successive victories behind them, including a League Cup triumph at Premier League Sunderland, but they went behind in this one. Rob Hulse's early strike proved to be a false dawn though for the Addicts. Charlton's lead lasted a quarter of an hour. Jonathan Woodgate's header drew Borough level, and from that point on, it was one-way traffic. Three second-half goals for the visitors made it a pretty grim afternoon for Addict supporters. Scott McDonald's 53rd minute strike put Tony Mowbray's men ahead. Before the victory was sealed 10 minutes later. This time McDonald turned provider, and Emmanuel Ledesma's lob made it 3-1. Richard Smallwood added a 4th late on as Charlton were condemned to what would prove to be their heaviest defeat of the season by a Middlesbrough team who moved into the top 2 after this victory. The only side above Borough were Cardiff, and they were the next visitors to the Valley in what was one of the most remarkable games in SE7 in recent years. Charlton started in disastrous fashion, Heider Helgeson making it 1-0 to the visitors after just 4 minutes. Things got worse. More chaotic defending allowed Joe Mason to make it 2, and the league leaders were seemingly cruising. But what then transpired will never be forgotten by those who witnessed it. With the Middlesbrough hammering still fresh in everybody's minds, and with Charlton once again in disarray, the home fans knew this was the time to really get behind the team, and how their faith was rewarded. After Johnny Jackson had halved the deficit, the skipper astonishingly made it 2-2 moments before the break, and the half-time interval did nothing to disrupt the home side's momentum. 9 minutes into the second period, Dale Stevens' outrageous free kick from all of 40 yards flew into the top corner, and if you thought Charlton would now sit back, you were wrong. Within 5 minutes, Danny Haynes made it 4-2, and for the first time you began to believe that this was going to be the Addicts' night. Unbelievably, it was soon 5, courtesy of lone striker Rob Hulse. Charlton had scored 5 goals in 26 minutes to leave the visitors shell-shocked. But remarkably, there was still more drama to come as we entered 6 minutes of added time. Craig Noon struck a consolation goal, but there was still more scoring to be done. With 94 minutes on the clock, Aaron Gunnarsson amazingly made it 5-4, but Charlton clung on to edge this 9-goal thriller. For the second time in 4 days, Charlton had conceded 4 at home. This time, though, it didn't seem to matter.
Could have turned, could have been ugly. You know, that's 6 goals conceded in, 110 minutes. That's not good. But I've got to say, the supporters that night, people talk about 12th man and it's almost a cliche. They certainly were with us that night. And we turned the corner, simple as that. We turned the corner once, you know, John led by example as he's done throughout the season and got us the 2 goals that got us back in it. And you could see that Cardiff was sort of questioning themselves, where we were obviously on a high. I remember at half-time I was trying to calm them down because they wanted to go straight back out. But back out they did and certainly finished the job.
After the Middlesbrough game, we was all very low, and the emphasis, you know, in that game was to start fast and try and really take it to them. And 20 minutes in, we're two down, and I think that was the point where the fans really could have gone the other way and, you know, vented their frustrations, booed us and whatnot, and they didn't. They kept singing the gaffer's name, and you know, it helped rally us really. You know, we could have gone under, and if they'd have really got on top of us, we may have done. But they stuck with us, and obviously it all worked out quite nicely.
Charlton made it back-to-back wins by inflicting a club record equalling 7th straight defeat on rock-bottom Bristol City. After Dale Stevens' shot had struck both posts, Danny Haynes was on hand to put the Addicts one up. The points were secured early in the second half. Michael Morrison's first goal since February made it a very happy few days for Chris Powell's men. And another 3 points followed at Turf Moor, but the match started in dramatic fashion. Kieran Trippier was red-carded for the hosts after just quarter of an hour following this handball on the goal line. But Johnny Jackson was then denied by keeper Lee Grant as the Addicts skipper missed his 3rd spot kick out of 3 this season, in complete contrast to the previous campaign when he converted 5 out of 5. The winning goal came on 69 minutes as Danny Haynes got onto the end of this fine move to net his 3rd goal in as many games. Huddersfield were next up in the Valley almost a year to the day since their long and beaten league run had been ended. And once more Charlton's opponents were reduced to 10 men. Keith Southern seeing red for this lunge on Michael Morrison in the first half in admittedly treacherous match conditions. Charlton, bolstered by the inclusion of Arsenal loanee Emmanuel Frimpong in the starting 11, finally broke through on the hour mark. Rob Hulse got onto the end of Bradley Pritchard's cross to claim the 3rd goal of his loan spell. But there was a late twist, as with just a couple of minutes remaining, Chris Solly was adjudged to have fouled Peter Clark. Up stepped Adam Clayton to earn the Terriers a battling point. November ended with the visit of struggling Peterborough, but despite being bottom of the table, took the match to the Addicks. Lee Tomlin couldn't have come any closer to opening the scoring. Posh, though, were undone by a moment of magic from Ricardo Fuller. This outrageous strike set the Addicks on the road to victory. Unfortunately, the Jamaica international injured himself in the process and soon hobbled off. There was nothing overly pretty about the second goal. Jan Kermorgan forcing the ball home, but it put the seal on a 2-0 win as Charlton were able to celebrate only their third home win of the season so far. Things were looking a lot healthier at the end of November. 4 wins and a draw had propelled the Addicks into a mid-table position as we moved into December and one of the biggest games of the season. Charlton's last league visit to the New Den in March 2010 had resulted in a 4-0 hammering, but this was a much tighter encounter. Precious few chances were created in front of Millwall's largest gate of the season, in excess of 18,000. But it ended level as Charlton extended their improved recent run to 1 defeat in 9 games. The 20th anniversary of the return to the Valley was marked for Brighton's visit, and it was most fitting that the Seagulls were the opponents, given the club's similar recent ground sharing history. Brighton's last visit to SE7 had resulted in a crushing victory for the visitors. This encounter was much tighter from the moment Laurie Wilson headed Charlton into an early lead. The Addicks were impressive in the early stages as they created chance after chance, but were unable to add to the lead and they were made to pay. Michael Morrison's error letting Craig McHale-Smith, the former Peterborough striker, made no mistake, 1-1 at the interval. But Charlton restored their advantage with 20 minutes remaining. Bradley Pritchard's first league goal for the club made it 2-1. But the Seagulls weren't to be denied. Substitute Kazenga Lua's deflected free kick ensured a share of the spoils. The 7-match unbeaten run came to an end at the Reebok Stadium after Charlton had more than held their own against the side who'd just been relegated from the Premier League. Substitute David Ngog proved the difference between the sides. The 63rd minute substitute striking twice in the space of 6 minutes as he showed his top flight quality. It ended 2-0, but the Addicks were by no means disgraced against Dougie Friedman's men. Another unfortunate defeat 7 days on, this time at Hillsborough. There was no arguing the quality of Wednesday's opener. Rhys McKay blasting the Owls ahead after 20 minutes. Charlton were incensed though twice in the opening period. First, Jan Kermorgan's shout for a penalty were turned down by referee Gary Sutton, much to the disgust of the Frenchman. And then Danny Haynes did have the ball in the net, only for it to be disallowed for offside. As the replay shows, it was a wrong decision. With Chris Powell asked to vacate the dugout for the second half after taking his protest too far, it was left to Jeremy Elan to seal Charlton's woe in added time as the Owls celebrated a priceless 3 points. visit of Ipswich saw Chris Powell celebrate his 100th game as Addicks boss. Charlton failed to get going though in a disjointed first half performance. Emmanuel Frimpong's foul on ex-Addict Lee Martin earned the visitors a penalty, but DJ Campbell fluffed his lines to earn the Addicks a reprieve. Charlton's only chance of the first half came from this Dale Stevens free kick, but this was as good as it got as the Tractor Boys went ahead soon after. DJ Campbell atoned for his penalty miss by converting Daryl Murphy's cross. The visitors were ahead. On the stroke of half-time it was 2. Martin was denied by Ben Hamer and Murphy was on hand to scoop up the rebound as boos started echoing around the valley. Charlton improved after the break and earned a penalty when Martin fouled Chris Solly. After Johnny Jackson's misses from the spot so far in the season, Danny Haynes stepped up to claim a consolation goal against his former club, but it ended 2-1 as Charlton suffered a third straight defeat. A morning deluge had left this match at the risk of a late postponement, but Danny Haynes lit up the valley by scoring one of the goals of the season after 19 minutes. Sadly though, the striker subsequently injured his hamstring and had to be substituted. Charlton started the second half strongly and couldn't have come much closer to doubling their advantage through Bradley Pritchard, and it proved to be the turning point of the game. As soon afterwards, Michael Morrison earned his second booking for this foul on John Brayford. Up stepped Jamie Ward to make it 1-1 from the spot. The 10 men had 20 minutes to survive, and they did that by the skin of their teeth, as the Addicks goal led a charmed life at times. But Charlton were able to chalk up their 4,000th point in league football, but the game's main talking point was that incredible Haynes goal.
We've scored some superb pole drivers and goals to be proud of, you know, and it just shows that, you know, as well as the team goals, we've got some great individual goals, great strikes, which is what you want to see.
So at the end of what had been a momentous 2012 for the club, they were in 18th place in the Championship with a comfortable looking 8-point cushion above the relegation zone. And for many fans it was a case of roll on 2013. And the new year started in explosive fashion as the Addicks edged a dramatic 7-goal thriller with Watford at Vicarage Road. It all seemed so unlikely after Daniel Poodle had fired the high-flying Hornets into an 11th minute lead. But the visitors turned the game on its head to go into the break 2-1 up. Johnny Jackson's corner was diverted into his own net by Joel Ekstrand to make it 1-1. And almost immediately the Addicks went in front. Bradley Pritchard's cross was headed home emphatically by Jan Kermorgant. But the match was turned on its head once more early in the second half. Fernando Forestieri, who was sent off in a club's meeting at the Valley, was upended by Dorian DeVete, and Watford had a penalty. Alman Abdi made sure the opportunity counted. 2-2 from the spot. And not long afterwards, Watford went in front. Alex Hayhoe's stylish finish put the home side back in the lead, but it was a short-lived advantage. It lasted all of 90 seconds. Ricardo Fuller bamboozled his way through the Watford defence as a combination of Kermagant and Hornets midfielder Nathaniel Chalabar held the ball into the net in this topsy-turvy game, and it was to get even better for Charlton. On 78 minutes, former Watford loanee Johnny Jackson headed home what proved to be the winner, to the delight of the Addicks fans behind the goal, as Charlton earned their first win in 7 games. Charlton showing in the FA Cup was unfortunately a fleeting one, as Jermaine Beckford's early goal proved to be the winner for Huddersfield of the Valley. The home side's misery was complete when Dorian De Veit received a red card for bringing down Beckford when through on goal, as the Terriers progressed to round 4. Blackpool's preparations for this game were hit by the departure of boss Michael Appleton 24 hours earlier. Steve Thompson was placed in temporary charge. Before the game, the club held its annual tribute to all the fans who'd passed away in the previous 12 months. As for the match, it was the Seasiders who started brightly. Kevin Phillips really should have opened the scoring. Instead, it was the Addicks who did just that. Johnny Jackson's shot may have lacked power, but it was certainly accurate. Chris Powell gave a first league start of the season to Scott Wagstaff, and that selection was vindicated as the midfielder made it 2-0 after Jan Kermagant was denied. Blackpool claimed a late consolation through former Charlton loanee Nathan Eccleston, but the Addicks held on as they celebrated a first home win of the season on a Saturday. Undersoil heating meant the match at Blackburn beat the Big Freeze, and Charlton were glad it did. Dale Stevens' explosive strike putting the visitors ahead midway through the opening period. Charlton dominated the first half and should really have gone in at the break further in front. And for a while, it looked like they'd been made to pay, as Jordan Rhodes' header brought Rovers back into the game. However, not for the first time, Kermagant had the final word, heading home past Jake Keane to earn 3 precious points for the Londoners. 2-1 the final score. Sheffield Wednesday were next up at the Valley, and it was former Owl Michael Morrison who had the best chance during an uninspiring first half, but he was denied by the frame of the goal. Still, Charlton did go ahead early in the second half. Johnny Jackson stylishly finished this fine move, and it looked like the Addicks were on their way to a 4th straight victory. This game, though, turned on this Scott Wagstaff chance. After he'd been kept out by the post, the visitors turned the game on its head in a dramatic 5-minute spell at the end. First, Raider Johnson headed past Ben Hamer to make it 1-1. And with the game about to enter injury time, Sheffield Wednesday loanee Leroy Lita scored a deflected winner against his former side to break Charlton hearts. Despite that cruel setback, the Addicks were sitting comfortably in mid-table with 17 games remaining. In fact, Chris Powell's men were nearer the playoff zone than the bottom 3 as February approached. The Addicks and their 3,000 strong support travelled across South London, keen to avenge that defeat by Crystal Palace back in September. And they put in a superb first half display, completely dominating the 5th placed Eagles. Ricardo Fuller's 15th minute strike sent the away end into raptures. The visitors created chance after chance in what was arguably their best 45 minutes of football of the season, but they just couldn't add to that one goal. They continued to create opportunities after the break, but with less frequency. And just like against Sheffield Wednesday, a crazy 5-minute spell cost them the game. Glenn Murray squeezed a shot beyond Ben Hamer after 75 minutes, and all of a sudden the momentum had completely shifted. Almost immediately, Murray fired beyond Hamer once more, and from nowhere, Palace had their first league double over Charlton in over 2 decades. Birmingham had keeper Jack Butland to thank for keeping them in this game. Time and time again, the highly rated keeper thwarted the Addicts. Before he was finally beaten with just 3 minutes remaining. Jan Kermigan's superb header looked to have won it for Charlton, but for the third game running, they were undone late on. With the match deep in added time, Wade Elliott swept home a dramatic equaliser as the Blues stunned Charlton at the death for the second time this season. Seven days later, and Charlton went down to defeat at the KC Stadium. After David Mailer had gone close, it was deadline day signing Ghetto, who claimed his second goal in as many matches to score the game's only goal. Charlton improved in the second half, but were unable to find a way beyond David Stockdale and were condemned to a narrow defeat against a Hull side that would end up being promoted. But the Addicts bounced back at Leicester to complete a league double over the Foxes, and it was inevitable that Jan Kermigan would return to the East Midlands to haunt his former club for the second time this season. Charlton's lead was eventually wiped out with 20 minutes remaining. Prolific striker Chris Wood drew the home side level, and it looked like being a backs-to-the-wall job for the visitors. But substitute Danny Haynes produced an exquisite strike to win the game for Charlton. But once more, Kermigan was taking centre stage.
When we play at Leicester, I was expected to be booed a little bit more, and maybe much more, but I was a little bit surprised not to be booed too much. So I just tried to play my game and be as good as possible. And when I scored, I had a good feeling we could win the game.
The Frenchman's week would turn sour with the first red card for the Addicts against Billy Davis's revitalised Nottingham Forest. After lashing out at Greg Halford, referee Andy Madley sent him packing after advice from his assistant. Forest made their numerical advantage count after the break. Radoslav Majewski made it 1-0 early in the second half. And that advantage was soon doubled. Following Ben Hamer's error, Henry Lansbury secured the win for Forest on what was a disappointing afternoon for the Addicts. "12 games to go, and Charlton were very much in mid-table, well clear of the relegation zone, but also adrift of the top 6. So what would March bring? Initially, the answer was not much. Charlie Austin, so often Charlton's nemesis, struck a goal fit to win any game, beating league debutant David Button all ends up. Try as they might on a tricky surface, Charlton failed to create much and went down to an 8th home league defeat of the season. But the Addicts bounced back with a spirited display at London Road. Laurie Wilson couldn't have come any closer to giving the Addicts a 4th-minute lead. Instead, it was the Posh who opened the scoring midway through the first half. Danny Swanson's first goal of the season, putting Darren Ferguson's men ahead. But the game was turned on its head after the interval, but not before Lee Tomlin had struck the post within a minute of the restart. The Addicts were level on 55 minutes. Youngster Callum Harriott, making his first start of the season, set up Johnny Jackson's leveller. And within 4 minutes, the Addicts were ahead. Danny Haynes converted his 7th goal of the season. Peterborough weren't to be denied though. Michael Bostwick made it 2-2 after 71 minutes, as both teams had to settle for a share of the spoils. Charlton got the better of Huddersfield at the 3rd time of asking this season. Callum Harriott's first career goal proving to be the match winner. Despite a fair amount of pressure, the Terriers were unable to find a way beyond David Button. This game, though, was all about one young man making quite a name for himself.
Yeah, it was the best feeling that when I scored my first goal, I didn't even know where my fans were. Just ran off. Ran off, started hitting my chest. Yeah, it was a great feeling. The lads are all right. Do you know what I mean? They encourage me, they give me confidence to take players on and do what I'm good at.
7 days later, and Millwall were in SE7 for a big local derby. Commentary comes from Dan O'Hagan.
Chris Solly for Charlton up now to Jan Kermigan. Takes, turns, sets off now and looks for Harry, finds him. There goes Harry, went for goal! Oh, so close! It's a fine save. Another young man looking for a first home goal for Charlton. Won't come too much closer than this. Just took aim, let rip, and the goalkeeper makes a very, very adroit save from Callum Harriott. That's a good stop. Here's Jan Kermigan. Oh! It's close. It's mighty, mighty close there from Jan Kermigan. It's Charlton who go really, really close here. Just how close was this? Oh, it's a whisker. Barely that. That top corner was nearly bulging with Kermigan's clever free kick. Well taken. And so nearly the first goal of the afternoon. Harriott. In goes the cross and Kermigan's in there. Oh, and Laurie Wilson. How has that not gone in? I have no idea how that has not found the way in for 1-0 Charlton. Ford, Adam Smith, down injured here. There was a real tangle in the box. This cross is whipped in by Wiggins. And Wilson up and over by an absolute fraction. So close, so unlucky. It stays, I'm not sure how. I can't explain it, 0-0. Wow. Up and over, but such slender margins. Forward towards Holtz. Now Chaplow. Chaplow held up by Johnny Jackson. Got the crossing in for Jermaine Easter. First touch! And his first goal for Millwall. substitution. What a debut. The derby deadlock shattered with Jermaine Easter's first touch as a Millwall loanee. Absolutely remarkable. The manager gets the call, bang on the button, and Easter comes early to Millwall with a goal from Jermaine Easter. The two loanees in combination, just signed yesterday. Chaplow's cross, Easter's finish, and the Lions lead at the Valley by Jermaine Easter's goal to nil. Well, there's your headline, off the bench to maybe decide the South London derby. Shane Larry might fancy this. It is indeed Shane Larry who went for it. Oh, great effort and a fabulous goal! It's a thumper, a pile driver, an absolute cracker from Shane Larry. It's only his second ever senior goal. Look at that! It's a picture-book powder keg from Shane Lowry. Charlton 0, Millwall 2. The Socceroo with a stunner.
That was to prove Charlton's final defeat of the season, as they'd win 5 and draw 3 of their remaining 8 games, starting against Bolton. But things began badly against the Trotters. Marvin Sordell opened the scoring very early on, beating the recalled Ben Hamer. And when Meadow Kamara made it 2 with just 20 minutes on the clock, it seemed like another long afternoon lay in store for Charlton at the Valley. But just as they'd done against Cardiff on that never-to-be-forgotten night in November, Johnny Jackson led from the front, halving the deficit before the game was turned on its head in the second half. Sam Ricketts saw red for this foul on Ricardo Fuller, his second cautionable offence. From the resulting free kick, Jan Kermigan was denied by the post, but Dorian DeVeet was on hand to make it 2-2. Suddenly, the momentum was all with Charlton. Darren Prattley fouled Fuller, and the hosts had a penalty. And Kermigan kept his cool to complete the turnaround. And Bolton's afternoon went from bad to worse when substitute Craig Davis also saw red. He left the visitors down to 9 men for the last few seconds as Charlton recorded a priceless win.
It gave us some belief, John scoring and making it 2-1 at half-time. And it was only 1 team in it in the second half, and the fans got behind us, and the team gave them the belief. You know, we can't always say, fans, you've got to help us. We've got to give something to them, and I think we did. I think the players did. And great result for us. And it really said that we could, whatever happens, we can come back, no matter what team. You know, Bolton were on the back of a terrific run themselves, and we defeated them. We limited them to just the 2 goals and 2 shots on target. So we've gone from strength to strength from there.
7 games to go, and a look at the table showed just how crucial that victory was. Charlton were just 5 points above the drop zone. Incredibly, only 10 points separated 8th place Bolton and Barnsley in 23rd. April started with the first ever trip to Brighton's magnificent Amex Stadium, and Charlton kept up their impressive away form by holding one of the division's top sides to a scoreless draw. Dale Stephens came desperately close to winning it late on, only to be denied by Thomas Kuszak. Ultimately though, Charlton were indebted to Ben Hamer, who was showing signs of being back to his best following a spell out of the side.
was a very hard one to take, but the manager's made a calculated decision and decided I needed to come out of the team at the time, and you know, I trust him, and you know, I know he doesn't take decisions lightly. So obviously to come out wasn't good, but it was, you know, a kick at the backside that I did need at the time, because I wasn't performing to my best abilities. But you know, since I've come back into the team, you know, I think I've done quite well.
Leeds United became the third managerless side to visit the Valley this season, following the sacking of Neil Warnock. Former Addicks midfielder Neil Redfern was placed in caretaker charge for this game, and it was a match that came to life after the break. Johnny Jackson blasted Charlton ahead 2 minutes after the restart. But with just 9 minutes remaining, Luke Varney came back to haunt his former side with a deflected equaliser, and it looked like it would finish 1-1. But loanee Jonathan Abika, who joined from Tottenham, chose the perfect moment to open his goal-scoring account, following great work by Royce Wiggins. It all left the boss absolutely delighted. And so to Oakwell, scene of the biggest victory of the manager's tenure and the best away result in the club's history. And Bradley Pritchard set the ball rolling after just 4 minutes. A lovely solo effort from Johnny Jackson made it 2 quarter of an hour later. Before Barnsley came close to halving the deficit. But Jacob Mellis's effort was cleared off the line by Royce Wiggins. The Addicks completely dominated the second half from the moment. Jan Kermigan's bullet header made it 3 on 48 minutes. Callum Harriott then got into the act, thanks in no small part to some unconvincing goalkeeping from Luke Steele. Things deteriorated for the home side. Stephen Dawson was then red carded for a foul on Kermigan, and the visitors showed no mercy at all. Salim Kirkar made it 5 with 10 minutes to go. Before the beleaguered hosts were reduced to 9 men. Last man Tom Kennedy fouled Ricardo Fuller to receive an inevitable red card. And it was that man Fuller who had the final word in stoppage time, adding goal number 6 against a Barnsley side who'd come into this game with 7 wins from their previous 8 home games. It was an afternoon which left the boss beaming with pride.
You could tell, without a doubt, that it was going to be a tough game for us, but we scored early and kept the pressure on, and it just went on from there. And for us to score, I mean, it was 4-0 before the first sending off, and then for us to keep pushing on, you know, and looking at the players, they were desperate to get the clean sheet, hadn't had one for a while, and then just to keep going, to score 6, and I believe it's our best away performance ever. You know, we broke some records last season, but even in this campaign, for us to break another club record, that's just superb for everyone connected with the playing side, you know, myself and my staff, but especially my group of players. So, outstanding, you know, and we didn't have too long to really celebrate it because we were going to Cardiff in 3 days' time. So, phenomenal achievement.
And so to the Cardiff City Stadium, with the home side only needed a point to go up. Charlton, though, were in the mood to spoil the party.
David Marsh will have to be right on his toes here. It's Jackson who's going to take it. There's Jackson. Not a bad effort, it's hit the upright.
It hit the post and it's been cleared away. There's Fuller. Now, chance for the ball to be played forward. Much just shows a little bit too much of the ball, and that was a late challenge by Much as well. Dervite it is who's gone down. Well, David Marshall really tested that free kick by Johnny Jackson. Whipped it in, it thumped against the upright. Bounced away, and McNaughton was the first to react. Gested gets out. Ball falls for Bellamy. Much. Taylor. Back to Much. Good ball in. Chance. It's there. It's got into the back of the net. It's not going to count. It's not going to count. The flag is up for offside. Well, it'll be interesting to see that one again, because Craig Noone thought he had the ball in the goal. This will be marginal. As the ball is played in, Noone just had drifted offside. The linesman got it absolutely right. Solly forward, good ball, finding Fuller. Fuller shoots, great save. That was a wonderful save from David Marshall to keep the score at 0-0. I think he was a bit lucky, Fuller, in the first instance. As the ball came through to him, I think he miscontrolled that, but he took advantage, tried to curl it in the corner, and that was a better save than that looked.
So another fine display from the Addicks, but it was Cardiff who was celebrating at the end as their Premier League dream became reality. Wolves travel to the Valley in dire need of points in their increasingly desperate relegation fight. Carl Henry couldn't have come much closer to scoring one of the goals this season in the first half, but it was the informed Addicks who would go ahead just past the hour mark. Dorian De Beek claimed his third goal of the campaign to give the home side lift-off. But Wolves were level almost immediately. Kevin Doyle's header drew the visitors level, but it would ultimately prove to be a false dawn. As with time running out, Jonathan Abika struck an injury time winner for the second successive home game to send the visitors plunging back into the relegation zone, and Charlton to within 5 points of a playoff place. The Addicks made a lightning start at the Riverside Stadium. Bradley Pritchard put the visitors into the lead after just 30 seconds. Rhys Williams, his own goal, then saw the visitors go into the break 2-up as the boos grew ever louder following a long sequence of poor results for the home side. Marvin Emnes set up an exciting finish, converting Grant Ledbitter's cross with 13 minutes to go, but it was hoped that should have been snuffed out. Ricardo Fuller had the ball in the Middlesbrough net for a third time, only to see it wrongly disallowed. It was the fourth time this season that a Charlton goal had been incorrectly ruled out for offside. And to rub salt into the wounds, Scott McDonald grabbed a late equaliser as Charlton's dreams of an unlikely playoff spot were extinguished. Already relegated Bristol City travelled to the Valley for the final game of the season, and after a sterile first half, Jan Kermigan broke the deadlock shortly after half-time in explosive style. Four minutes later he made it 2-0, and after that goal against Hartlepool a year earlier, he is clearly a man who likes to end the season in style. Bobby Reid grabbed a consolation for the Robins, but that was as good as it got for the visitors as they suffered another heavy defeat. Goal number 3 saw French striker Kermorgant come within inches of bettering his first effort of the afternoon. Nonetheless, it enabled Jonathan Abika to claim the 3rd goal of his loan spell. Johnny Jackson then added the finishing touch to a sweeping move. He was significant because it ensured that he finished as the club's top scorer ahead of Kermorgant as the Addicts campaign ended in style. As the players and management paraded around the pitch after the final whistle and showed their appreciation for the support they'd received, it was very much a case of job well done from an extremely spirited and talented first team squad. The evening of May the 5th saw the North Stand Lounge packed to the rafters for the Player of the Year awards. After a season of great progression, Callum Harriott was named Young Player of the Year. The Players' Player of the Year award went to Johnny Jackson. And once again, it was Chris Solly who picked up the Player of the Year award for the 2nd successive year following another fantastic campaign.
Massive thank you to all the fans here tonight for your support throughout the season. We appreciate it. And the biggest thank you for us to go to all my teammates again, because without them I wouldn't be here.
But the final word has to go to the man who masterminded the club's progression and stabilisation in the Championship.
This time last year, League One champions, going into the unknown for a lot of people, myself, all my staff, as managers and coaches, and a lot of the players. So we had our pre-season, and we're thinking, wouldn't it be okay? But of course, we know that some players will step up, some won't. It's just the nature of the game. But what I would say to you is, I spoke to the players on Friday and yesterday before the game and just said, what's happened between August the 18th and May the 4th yesterday will shape each and every one of you as characters, as men, because so many ups and downs in the season. Some people can overreact, some people can say, this isn't right, whatever. But one thing I know about that group of players, my group of players, or our group of players, is they don't know defeat. They may lose a game, but they don't know defeat. So whatever 11, always say it to them, whatever 18, even the lads that travel that are not involved in the 18, they're part of our journey. They're part of this club. And all they ever want to do is their best. The amount of times we've had to pick them up, the amount of times they've picked me up, that's the mark of the team. So testament to my players this season, each and every one of you, no matter how big, how small your part, you've played a part. And that for me as a manager, I can't ask for any more. So thanks for that. So I addressed the players on Friday, and we, Brett Shaw, who's our analyst, we just spoke about 6 games that shaped our season, and it includes you guys, our supporters. So this includes you, and it's key because, as I said, at the start of the season we went to Birmingham, great day, a sunny day, Leon Court scored. And we're close to 3 points, and that's happened a few times this year, late goals, but we've done it as well. Well done, John Abika. But and I came away from that game thinking we can compete in this league. I know it's only 1:45 to go, but I just had a good feeling about it. And we had Leicester here, and of course all the talk was our first home game, of course, about Jan, Michael Morrison. Obviously I've got connections with the club, and went 2-0 up. Of course Jan scored, which obviously was very sweet for him. But actually that game showed us the pace and the quality of the Championship, because You know, I'm standing there now, they were excellent second half and we hung on, but you know, we hung in there. But it just gave us, thanks Mum, it gave us a real chance to look at what we have to do. Then we played Cardiff at home. Really, the game I think will be the game of the season for everyone. And I think it'd be the game that, even though we had 16, 17,000, I think in about 10 years' time, the amount of people that say they were there would be about 100,000 supporters. So, you know, it was a game that followed on from losing to Middlesbrough. And 2-0 down after 15 minutes, I'm thinking, bloody whistle ref, long way to go. He's come up here already and he's done it a few times this year. Johnny Jackson gets a goal, gets another goal from a corner from Celine corner. And at half time I remember thinking, you know, they were so excited they wanted to go back out, we had to calm them down and they all came out and you know, the rest was history. But that night, it was an against all odds night. It was one of those nights where a 2-0 down, a covered end, and all stand, you know, could quite easily turn. 12 fans always overused, but I think that night they were with us. Whether they didn't suck the ball in the net or whatever, they were with us that night. Crucial moments that happen during the course of the season that, you know, shape you. And obviously that night was just one of the special nights that we've had here at the Valley. But, you know, I've got to say that the support from you guys, and people that obviously aren't here this evening, you know, showed me there's no boundaries in our support for this football club. You know, we talk about other clubs and they talk about this is what we do and all that kind of... No, this is what we do here at the Valley. You know, that night, other nights like that. When we've had to go away, we've come back. Always come back. And this season, that game, Watford away, a special one. Then we had it again, Bolton at home. Well, obviously, a lot of us after a defeat against the side in South East London, I won't mention their names, but we had 2 weeks. We had 2 weeks to really kind of get ourselves together. And we playing Bolton, we had 8 games. And we're thinking, well, you know, we really have to step up. 2-0 down again. We like doing it the hard way here, but you know, that was tough. I've got to say to you, that was a tough moment for all of us, every single person in this room. But we turned it around through sheer determination, through mentality, through sheer bloody mindedness, really, to turn it around. Some key players, you know, Jaco obviously scored. Ricardo won us the pen. Jan took his first pen since a few years back. And then, you know, we threw in Andy Hughes. You know, and I know people saying it's a key moment, but I just had a feeling for that. Young Callum steps up. You know, people sometimes in adversity step up, and that's what you got with this group of players. So, I nearly forgot Barnsley away. I can't forget Barnsley away, neither can you, because you know, throughout a tough season at the Championship and some real high moments and 1 or 2 lows, you know, I've got to say for us to break the away record for this football club is outstanding. 6 different scorers. Ricardo getting his goal after about 65 tries, but what a goal. But I just think those sort of moments really prove what sort of club we are. You know, we went through an unbeaten run at a real vital time. I couldn't tell you how many other sides would want to be in our position. So thank you to all my players and my staff. And more importantly, thank you to you, the supporters, home and away, giving us your support, picking us up when we're down, and we pick you up when you're down. That's what we do at Charlton Athletic. God bless you. Have a great summer.
What a great season as Charlton finished in the highest league position since losing their Premier League status in 2007. Indeed, they were just 3 points away from a playoff spot. So we hope you've enjoyed this review of what was another season of excellent progression from Charlton, and we look forward to seeing you all back at the Valley in August, when who knows, this great club may go one better.